There it goes.
All right. Good morning. My name is Samuel Apata. This is the Storyline Masterclass. That's what it's called for now, but ideally looking to make this a space for instructional designers to discuss uh, everything instructional design. So whether you're trying to learn about the tools or have questions, it's meant to be an interactive session. I don't intend to, just make this a presentation. So feel free to come off mute at any point and ask questions or type in the chat. Happy to answer those. I'm actually joining from Minnesota today, here for a friend's wedding. It's a beautiful city, I must say. I've never been here before. And I'm wondering where, everyone else is joining us from. But Daphne, I know you're in Florida, right?
Correct. I'm in South Florida.
Tara, you're
I'm in Tennessee.
Tennessee. Okay, nice.
Yeah.
All right. So hopefully, if folks who can't join us, we'll go back and watch the recording and maybe get something out of this. But what we're going to discuss today is working with audio inside of Storyline 360. Now, if I want to know what's your level of experience working with audio. Have you used it in the past? How have you used it?
I actually use audio quite a bit, but I'm still learning how to manipulate it because a lot of my storyline experience is self-taught. So I use Well Said Labs to generate audio. And then so I know how to put it into storyline, but sometimes when I'm trying to set it to start and finish at a certain point, I experience some hiccups.
Okay. That's good to know.
I
would like to know some of the hiccups later on. Go ahead.
I've used the text to speech and also Well Said Labs, and edited, the audio. So
that's one I haven't used, Well Said Labs. I will definitely like to explore that. Is it just wellsaidlabs.com?
Yep, that's it.
Okay, it's an AI tool. Okay, makes sense. All right, awesome. Hi, Francis.
Hi.
Yeah, how you doing?
Just there.
And you're joining us from London, right?
What?
Where are you joining us from?
Oh, Liverpool. I'm at work actually, so I'm trying to hide. I'm hiding.
We can picture you hiding. So take a storyline class, the things we go through. That's awesome. Yeah, so today we're really going to talk about all things audio. Hopefully try to cover as much as possible. And depending on your level of expertise, I think it's best to start from the top. So, what's audio? What are the types of audio formats that we have? Does anyone want to just tell us some of the audio types? And
are you talking about files as far as like MP4s, MP3s?
Exactly. Yeah. So you're right, MP3, WAV files, web. There's one I've been seeing a lot of recently. Why did I forget the name now? But I mean the common types are MP3 and WAV files. So Storyline accepts any one of those file types, and it doesn't really matter how you import your audio, as long as the program can read it, it's perfect. So where else do we find audio files. What I use a lot is free sounds. I don't know if you know about that, but freesounds.org. This is where I get maybe 100% of my audio. So they have everything from, themes to sound effects, and it's free to download, as you can tell from the name. So let's say we're looking for maybe a game theme. All you need to do is just type that, and it gives you a number of options. And let me make sure I'm sharing my audio. That would make sense since this is all about audio. Mind if I unshare for a second? Share with sound. All right. So right here, you can what type of project do you think this would hit?
Sounds kind of gameish.
Sounds gamish, right? It's
These
okay.
Mario Play vibes.
Right. How about this one? Yeah, that's kind of whack. Oh, whack. It's building up, right?
Yeah.
Adventure game or even horror, you said?
Yeah.
Oh. Yeah, they have a lot of sounds, and it could be. Sometimes it gets weird, like I can imagine some of them are made with, what's it called now? Forget what it's called, but if you know how people make sound effects, so you use different objects that's not really what's intended, but it sounds like it, and just make sounds that way. I feel like that's how some of these are made, but they're titled very well. That's one thing I've noticed. So this one says set, and I'm sure if you play it, this one says soundbar. You may have heard this in some of the projects that you've toyed around with. But this is a good site to get your free sound. Is what the point is. And all you need to do is just go to download and click on that, and all right, looks like I need to log in.
Have any of you run into sound bites in other languages? Because like last year I was working on a language course, and I was looking for AI voiceovers that could pronounce certain things in Spanish. And, like Well Said Labs only really does English, and, it might do British English or, Australian English, but it's just English.
And that's Well Said Labs.
Yeah.
I've never used Well Said Labs.
So what Well Said Labs doesn't do other languages. I was wondering if there was anything out there that actually did.
Okay. Does anyone know?
I thought there were, I'm trying to think, I'll search for it, but I think there's some that where you can pay extra to get the other languages. I can't think of it right now, but I'll search for it.
Okay. Thanks, Sarah.
Please keep us posted.
Sometimes it kind of helps if you can translate what you're looking for in that language and search for it in that language. Sometimes it's like it's hidden, like when you're searching it, it's not hidden, it's not in English, like it's just hidden in that language. You understand?
Yeah, so if you search for it in Spanish, you type it in Spanish, then it might come up.
Yeah, it might come up because it happens a lot with me in Chinese. When I'm looking for something in Chinese, I find out it's not there in English, but if I search in Chinese, maybe search on maybe Google or just search on Chinese Baidu, you find it. So maybe you can try that too.
Right. Thanks for the suggestion.
Yeah, that's interesting. So what types of project would you require that for?
Because I work in higher ed, so we were working on a intro to Spanish course, and as we're building like learning objects and interactives, we were having students practice listening to something in the language and then repeating it, and we were just finding it hard. And if you try to type something in Spanish in Well Said Lab and have the AI repeat it, it sounds horrible. It literally sounds like an American person speaking,
Wow.
So
Yeah,
it's not as authentic sounding as if you actually found like a
right.
sound bite that has the native language.
Yes, that's why, voiceover artists are not losing their jobs anytime soon, but we'll see. The AI keeps getting better, so who knows? There may come to a point where we have labels on courses, like this course is 100% human or something like that. That could also be a thing.
Right.
So we've talked about the types of audios where to find free audio. I think it's maybe time to just dive in and talk about how to import and edit your sound. Now, for this one, I actually went back to one of my first projects in Storyline, which is this sound puzzle project inspired by just this Melissa and Dog. It's a physical game for kids where they just drag the objects and are able to they can't just guess. It's a puzzle. Anyway, what I did with this one was add sound to it, so when you drag, it actually says what the instrument is and plays the sound.
Acoustic guitar.
What do y'all think?
Tuba.
I like it. It reminds me of something that you can actually purchase from the store for a child to play with physically. So this is a virtual. It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
And you get your score up here, so this shows some progress. And so it's actually a puzzle, and you can hit submit. Tells you need more tiles. I'm not even sure what happens when okay, so now I can't select anymore. Yeah, so I hadn't thought that one through. I have to figure out what's going on there. But I was able to download the file again. And so here is how this was built. So it looks like I'm using layers for each of those sounds. And so really it's just the way that you work with sound is to just create a layer, or it could also be in your base layer. You're just importing sound into each of those layers. So let's say you click on import, click on inserts, you can click on audio and bring in your sound that way. Or you can use the drop down and do a text to speech. You can record from your mic, which I don't do. You could choose sound from the media library, which those are all options available to you. And now in Storyline, you can add background audio, which I feel like we can use one of those theme songs from early on. This one, I'll just download that. And so you go to audio file, and bring in your newly downloaded audio. It's on the downloads folder. All right. And as far as, working with your audio, so if you play this, you obviously have two sounds that are going to play at the same time. And oftentimes that's not what you're trying to do, except it's intentional. But when you open up your audio, the way that I did that was, just right click and click on edit audio. It brings it up as a WAV file, which I find very useful. So this is telling me that this is the level that my audio is getting to. And just to having that visual representation is very important when you're working with audio. And one good way to actually see that is to maybe import a voiceover, for example. I'm going to import this voiceover. And that one has, so these are silent spots where there's no audio. And it's oftentimes when I'm editing audio, I can almost guess where that sound is stopping. So let's play this one for example.
Jenny, you're doing such a great job as a coder. We're going to promote you to a management position.
You see the
Of
silence?
course, you'll still have some coding responsibilities, but we're counting how it's going. Congratulations. I'm sure you're probably
All right, so it's a very good way to guess where your audio is stopping, and that helps you quickly edit audio, or maybe for when you're adding closed captioning, it becomes so much easier. And just from looking at the waves, you can almost tell that what the audio level is. So this is a good range, but if you needed to increase the audio for some reason, you can just select it. You can go to volume, and it's only going to affect that portion that's selected. You can increase that and hit OK, and instantly you see. And you can always undo. So just hit Command Z, and that's undone. You can also make this part silent. I don't know, for whatever reason, you may want to click on silent, and that just takes everything away. Or you can click on crop, and that's going to take everything else away, leaving just that selected portion. So there's so many tools. Well, not many, but there are ways to edit your audio right inside the audio editor right here in Shoreline. You can also import new audio. So let's say you want to add, let's look for a sound effect, like maybe door opening. So let's just download that. And let's say at this point we want the door to open. So he just talked about promoting Jenny, and maybe you want to show that whomever is leaving the office, you can import another audio in addition to your existing audio. And that just adds that right here. So you don't have to go to an external audio editor every time. You can do that right here inside of Storyline.
I'll be checking in with you to see how it's going. Congratulations.
And for show all, I believe that's, so maybe you're kind of zoomed in to this portion of the audio. You can show all to, or maybe not. Anybody know what that does? Shows the entire waveform. Well, I guess that's what. So it takes away the bar at the bottom. So if you're working with audio that's very lengthy, it's going to kind of zoom back out, and And you can also zoom in on your selection by clicking on the zoom selection. And that just lets you really hone in on your audio and change, maybe you don't like the way it sounds. You can reduce that. And that's just getting very specific, right? And when you're done, you can preview your audio right here. You can go back to show all. You can even record more audio. So let's say, I'll just say something. Door closes. Door closes. Yeah, that's my first time recording my own audio, but door closes. Yeah, that's the way that would sound. And you can do all of that inside of your editor. Now, does anyone use any external audio editing tools besides Storyline?
Camtasia sometimes.
That's what I was about to say, Camtasia.
Yeah, I've never tried Camtasia. It's on my resume, I'm sure, but I'm just, yeah, it's one of those tools where you just it feels like it's a requirement for every instructional designer. And at one time at DevLearn, that was last year, I actually went to a session on, how to use Camtasia. I was just not impressed by the tool at all. I'm like, there's so many other tools I can be doing this with. But I'm sure, a lot of people use it, so I'm assuming there are good aspects to it. But what I use is, what's it called? I should know, right?
The plus side.
Audacity. That's what I use to edit audio. Did you say something? Sorry.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, the plus side of Camtasia is not a subscription.
Right. Yeah, I'm sure there are many pluses. Susan, I didn't notice you were in the room. Thanks for joining.
Late, I'm sorry.
No, you're good. So I'm just going to show you Audacity quickly. So it's, sorry, looks like it's just recovering all kinds of stuff that I've worked on in the past. So yeah, so it's pretty much doing the same thing, right?
Mhm.
And we can talk about Audacity real quickly. So here you can, just like Storyline, you can select, you can go to Effects, amplify your sound, but you see it's a lot more options, like compared to Storyline, right?
Yeah.
You can fade in, fade out, repair, repeat, reverb, reverse, just do a lot of stuff. I haven't even explored, half of this, but what I usually use is, amplify. And the good thing also, especially if you're working with maybe an animation project where you have multiple characters on screen talking, you can quickly, determine.
I'll be checking in with you to see how it's going. Congratulations.
Right. If you just want to export that portion, you can just go to export selected audio, and that's it. You don't have to delete anything. You could, and it just gets you more familiar with how sound works. You can select them all, you can export everything, you can cut, you can paste, you can zoom in. It's just beautiful tool, and it's free, so you're not even paying for it. I like free stuff, if you can't tell by now.
Yeah.
Yeah, so let's head back to Storyline. So inside of Storyline, you can add captions to your, let's talk about captions for a little bit. So you can add captions by selecting the file and going to add captions. And in this case, I don't have the transcript, but I've seen cases where it just sometimes just picks up on what you have on the audio and just types it out for you. But
Jenny, you're doing such a great job as a coder. We're going to promote you to a management position.
Yeah, so I mean, if you have your transcript somewhere, you can just paste from that, but otherwise you have to just type that out. So,
Mhm.
and I forget what it said, but that's one way to do it. So I'm just going to copy this and paste it a few times, but yeah, sorry, that's very creepy.
Mhm.
You're doing such a wonderful job, right?
Great job.
All right, so let's assume that's what he said. Of course, you'll still have some code. Jenny, you're doing such a great job as a coder. We're going to, of course, you'll still have some coding.
Okay, what I'm trying to do is split this. So you can split your captions. So let's say you feel like the words are too long to be on screen, you can, split that up and
Jenny,
I'll
you're
be
doing such, we're going to promote you to a management position.
got loud all of a sudden. So you can split your captions, you can import captions that will be imported as an SRT file. Does everyone know what SRT files are and how to generate them?
No.
Yeah. So an SRT file is pretty much a caption file. And one tool that I use for generating captions is Klaviyo. It's a cheap tool to use. This is one exception to paying for tools. I normally don't pay, but I'm happy to pay Klaviyo. I think it's $20 a year or something. Let me find out for sure. So $72 for a year, which isn't bad at all. So, I mean, for what you're getting from it, right? So you're able to generate captions, let's just see all Klaviyo can do. Did anyone know about Klaviyo before now?
No?
No.
I
No?
wasn't
Oh,
familiar with it.
I feel
No.
like you're going to thank me later. So these are all, things you can do with Klaviyo. You can quickly edit your video. You can merge videos, compress, add subtitles,
Mm.
cut, create memes, crop, and speed up they have more tools, right? You can add subtitles. That's one thing that I use it for a lot. You can, just click on a video, choose the file. Let's say this one. And quickly
Mm.
adds it to your scene, and you can choose to either upload an SRT file, which, that's why we're here. We're trying to find out what an SRT file is, or you can do auto subtitles. So let's try auto subtitles. Thought I was signing. Okay, that's expected. Email someone close. Close your eyes. Okay, I don't know my password anymore.
I just saw that.
You saw it? All right, so let's 787. And we can do auto subtitles. So it's asking you what language you want that in. You just type English, depending on what you're translating to, and just hit generate. And that instantly generates all of your subtitles, but it's automatic. So hopefully you use the voiceover artist. I wouldn't try that because it come up with all kinds of spelling errors. But yeah, we'll come back to that. In the meantime, there's a lot you can do over here. Once you're done, you can, hit save and close. Let me show you a quick way to add captions to your file. You can click on edit triggers and do adjust variable, set display captions. Now this is when you want the captions to be present even when the learner just lands on the page. You don't want them to have to click on closed captions to get to it. And that's good for so many reasons. It lets the learners know that there's an actual closed caption button. Oftentimes we don't expect the learner to just know maybe learners who need it know to look for that, but it's also good to just have that option available. And this inbuilt variable does that for you. So you set the captions to true when timeline starts on this layer. And automatically, when you hit preview, that just shows up. In any case, it looks like this has finished. So see, all of those captions have been automatically generated. Isn't that cool? I mean, you can go through the entire thing and try to figure out.
Jenny, you're doing such a great job as a coder.
It's
We're
just
going to
make your
promote you to a
animations look
management
better.
position. Of course, you'll still have some coding responsibilities, but we're counting on you to make sure this team is firing.
So you can, click on each one of these and, just change the text if you needed to, and it's all just visual. And it's really a great tool, the speed, the ease of use. And when you're done, this is how to generate an SRT file. So an SRT file is pretty much just a file that has all of your captions, but it's not a Word document. It's not anything else. It's called an SRT file, and it's readable by Storyline. So if we were to download the SRT file for this one, so that goes to my download folder. Let's see what that looks like. So it's just showing this plain file. And what you can do is go over here and edit captions, and then import your SRT file. So import captions. So, rather than going through all that, you can just hit yes and look for that file. And then it automatically, you want to make sure you're starting from here, right? It automatically just adds all of those captions, so you don't have to type it. So you see the process, like you go to Kladio, get the SRT file, and then download the SRT file, and then bring it back into Storyline, so you don't have to type all of that. Because you may have a Word file, and that's not helpful because you can't tell where it's pausing. But this lets you just quickly and easily get that done. Is that clear?
Yes.
Okay. Susan, did you say something?
No, I said, I love it, I gotta go buy it.
Yeah. All right, so let's go back to this one. There was something I wanted to talk about. I forget what it was. So yeah, so for this one, the way I've imported all of these files is to add them to layers. If we were to think of another way to do them, like I said, this is an old file. Perhaps now for efficiency, I would instead add each of these inside of the states instead. So let's maybe copy this and go to. So Where do you think it's best if you were to add this inside of states? Would it be best to add it on drag item or the drop item? Can anyone guess?
Are you talking about when the audio starts to play?
Right, when the audio starts to play.
I think it would be drop item, no?
Okay. Yes. So you're right. But one way to do it, I'll show you a way to do it. So you can actually have all of your audio just on this layer. And I wonder if it's best to clean this up a little bit. Let me just make a new file or a new slide very quickly. So make a new slide and let me borrow some of these assets. So I need this is probably locked. So I need the background. I need maybe just a few of these. All right, and that's just only because there's so many triggers associated. I didn't want to disrupt anything. So let's start with this one. So we're trying to not have layers, right? We're just trying to add the audio at this level. So let's copy a few audio files, and that's just copy and paste. It's so easy to walk the audio, just copy and paste it. So copy and then paste. Over here, you go grab another audio, copy, paste. So you have, and you can even see, visually, you can see what you're doing, right? So you have 2 audio files. Now, if you were to preview this, they would play at the same time, right? Which isn't very helpful.
Yeah.
You would get that double sound.
Harmonica.
Yeah, so you get multiple sounds. Let's even try one more just to. And it doesn't matter where these are placed. It's just showing you what audio files you have and giving you the ability to select them so they're not actually going to show up in your course. And so the way to control this is to add a trigger to it. Now we're going to talk about variables and triggers in the next session, but maybe this is a good preview. So you can say adjust the variable when first let's make this a drag and drop interaction. So the way to make this a drag and drop is to go to insert and go to convert to freeform. So this isn't the traditional drag and drop. This is more, that's going to convert it. So click on drag and drop, then click OK. And that's asking you to pick, the drag item, drop item. So in this case, we don't have a drop target, but let's make it a picture. So let's just assume it's a picture and then go back to slide view. So what we're trying to do is control the sound, or when the sound plays, we don't want them all to play at the same time. So you can click on this object and go to trigger and do a play sound. So play media. So these, audio 1, 2, and 3. So let's say you want audio 1 to play when when object is, let me make sure we're seeing all of those options. When object is dropped on picture, that should be picture 1, right? So that's so instantly when you do that, you see how that changes. So that's not going to play unless that action or unless that trigger, is activated. These are still going to play when the timeline starts, but that's just because it has a trigger on it, it's not going to play like the others. So you want to do the same thing for each one of these. And that just prevents that double audio that you're hearing. So you can actually add all of your sound on the same, on your base layer without, you can add as many sounds as you want. As long as you have a trigger on them, they're not gonna play unless activated. Does anyone have questions about that?
No.
Okay.
You actually answered a question that I had, because that's exactly something that I've struggled with, knowing having multiple sounds and trying to figure out if they go on the base layer or maybe on the additional layers, so that they
Right.
can start at different times.
Yes, yes. It's always, just good to go for efficiency. So why have all of these layers if you don't need to, right? So you're exactly, you're adding multiple sounds, but they don't play it unless you actually activate. And it works. I can assure you that it works. I would preview it, but I feel like, we haven't set up the drop state correctly and all of that. So you still hear those sounds. Let's just for humor, let's make sure all of the sounds have triggers as well. So let's say add more triggers. So play audio 2 when the user drops, and you can even just repurpose that first one. But no, let's do it the tough way. And the user drops that object. So it's the same thing on picture 2. I mean, we can give it the same trigger, it doesn't matter. So, I mean, the important thing is that they all just have that state where they're not playing at the same time. See, no sound, nobody talks unless called upon. Yeah, something not set up correctly, but normally it would play that sound eventually when you do that. But as
Is
far
it
as
because it's showing unassigned on the trigger?
it's showing a sign on the trigger,
Unassigned, is that why it's not playing?
oh, I see what you're saying. Yes. Yes. So if you just make this picture 1, yeah, it should play. So just make that picture 1. Exactly. Play audio when the user draws picture 1. No, not picture 1. Maybe picture 2, picture 1. Picture 2, picture 1. Yeah, it should play it. Did it play? No. Sorry, I'm working on just one screen, so it's tough to really figure this out. Yeah, but we have to make sure it plays now. So let's delete all of these. Let's just delete all of these triggers. We don't need them. All right, so let's add a new trigger that says, play audio 1 when the user, let's give it an actual drop state. I feel like just keeping that part is what's causing this. Let's give them a drop state. So let's say, let's add a shape on here. And maybe make this transparent or just give it no fill color. Go format and take out the shape fill, but still have the outline, right? So you want to duplicate this, maybe this one. Yeah, so just 2, maybe we don't need that third audio. All right, so, but then we want to go back and remove freeform just because we introduced new objects. We want that to be able to capture that. So hit OK. And then do a convert to freeform, drag and drop, go to your form view and proms, piano, rectangle 1, rectangle 2. Go back to your slide view and do play media, audio 1. When the user drops, object, say 2 on tag 2, right? And then do a play media, audio 2. When the user drops, picture 3, rectangle 1. Okay. Please feel free to stop me if I'm just assuming we're all following along. Right, so it should play now.
Harmonica.
Yeah, exactly.
Trumpet.
Yeah. All right. Did that work? Did that work out well? Was that helpful at all?
Yeah, it is. It's pretty exciting, actually.
Yeah, awesome.
You
And
know-
I know last week. Sorry, Susan, did you say something?
Yeah, do you normally name your state?
Name the
And
states
audio,
for
audio or picture? Do you actually, give it a name?
right. Are you talking for the drag and drop?
Right.
Yeah, I mean, we should actually maybe do another workshop on drag and drops because there's just so much to talk about with drag and drops. And I don't know if you saw the recording from last week, but we actually built a feedback sandwich, which I actually spent more time working on. And whoops, did I just hit? All right, I can always share that file later.
Well,
So this feedback sandwich that we worked on last week, this was one that I submitted for the e-learning challenges for this past week.
mhm.
So I actually finished it up. It's interesting the way it turned out. Let me just preview the entire project. I'll get to your question, Susan.
Okay.
So remember how we built this? Now, if you click on the object, just like you prompted to do, it's going to hide this. It's going to hide this text. So that goes away and you get the definition for each one of those layers. And it also activates this button once all of these have been visited, right? So you're saying you want to, so you have the lesson, and then now you want to try it out yourself. So now it's asking you to, so you're just adding a bit of visual cues, telling the learner that you have to drag and drop. It's always helpful. I haven't added like a shape so they know what the final product maybe looks like, even added the steps so they know, what's the sequence. Obviously, the learner is instantly maybe wants to try it, kind of guesses that would fit on there. That's helpful for the learner, right? And once they click on that, it changes state to drag state, I believe. So once now you know what you're dragging, right? Whereas if you were to drag any of these other ones, you're not sure what you're dragging. But now you know you're talking about positive comments. You know, you want to drop that, and once you drop it, you know, there's no indication for whether you're correct or not. But you know, next you may want to guess this bottom one is correct. I created this, but I'm not even sure where to place them. But I always like my cabbage at the top. No, maybe at the bottom, and maybe at the tomatoes. Your onions, cheese. I know cheese is definitely that's the bad part. So, and then beef. Let's try this. I feel good about this. And just hit submit. Okay. See, I even like did like what a percentage of accuracy you ended up with, and the visual cues to tell you this is what you got wrong, this is what you got right. So if you were to retry, you know, memorize and know these need to swap places. And you can also download the project right from here. So and you know, you have the prototype, which is it's showing you, I mean, you can instantly compare and know that okay, that needs to go there. You know, the whole time you're thinking about the learner, right? You're testing them to help them pass and not to fail them. You know, there's a prompt to review your answers. So, to your question though, Susan, states. So there are different states that you can use for each of these, especially in the drag and drop mode, right? So you can use normal, drag over, down. I'm not able to see. Drop correct, drop incorrect. So all of those states are in play with this one.
Okay.
So drag over, that's going to show the learner what, you know, it's going to write the text so they see exactly what they're dragging. The down states, that's also keeping that text visible, right? Because it changes state when you drop it, which is, you know, down state. It continues to show the learner exactly what it is, and the drop correct that only activates when it, you know, it has that state, but that's only activated in the end. So I have a trigger set up. I feel like this should be another class, so because there's a lot to talk about for the states. I mean, not you can experiment by yourself as well. So you know, just try to go through all of the states. You know, think about what you want the states to be, and you know, there are cases where you need a hidden state, but that's not one that I use a lot. But you know, drag over for sure. And the way to make that show up is to go to your drag options, and you know, sometimes you may want to delay this item drop state until the interaction is submitted. You know, but in this case, yes, in this case, I actually wanted to delay that. So I didn't want the learner to see that check mark or the crossed out mark until they saw the results, which actually worked out well, because you know, if I didn't have that checked and hit okay, they'll be able to see how they were doing. And this isn't a bad idea as well. It's helping them, you know, see, you know, they can easily just fix that. So
Right.
it's a level of ease, right? So if you were to, you know, it's like giving instant feedback, which you may want in some cases, right? So maybe I mean, there are topics where, but this just creates more giving feedback to the learner as they make those changes or as they attempt a question is always good. That way they're not, so have you taken those drag and drops where, you have to drag so many items and then you hit submit and it says, oh, it's incorrect. Like in the end, after going through all that work, you have to go through 20 items again to hit the submit button. It's just not very effective. But with this one, you can, first, the items are not too much where it's a burden and you can see your instant feedback. So you can go and arrange. I mean, they're still going to learn something. It's the point. By the time they, fix all of their mistakes, and this is happening because, you're not allowing two items in the same spot, which is very important as well. The way to do that is to go to your form view, go to your drag and drop options, and you make sure this is checked to allow only one item. And you're saying return the item to start point if dropped outside any drop target. So that's just going to, otherwise, if you don't have this checked and you don't have this checked, let's see what happens. Sorry, this isn't sound, but I feel like it's also important if you work with drag and drops. So, now you can drop multiple items. That's just a mess. And it's not, sending it back. It's just leaving everything on. Like you can pretty much just file on stuff. The learner just ends up confused where they didn't have to be. All right, how we doing on time? Looks like, yeah, we're right at the mark. Any other questions before we kind of drop off? I'm gonna stop sharing now.
Good
Any
stuff.
questions?
I don't have any questions, but
Okay.
thanks for showing us those different tools
Absolutely.
and sites.
Yeah, hopefully y'all got something. I know it was I was all over the place, but yeah, hopefully we can talk about triggers and layers next week and get some more out of this. All right.
Sounds like a plan.
Everyone
Sounds
good?
good. Thank you.
All right. I'll send out a recording shortly.
Appreciate it. Thanks,
All right.
Samuel.
Have a good rest of your day.
Thank you.
All right.